For this hairstyle, what we're going to do is we're going to clipper over comb the top. We're going to cut the top down really short. I'll leave it just long enough so that after we texturize it and take some of the bulk out, we can mess it up with some paste and it's going to stand up. It's going to spike up. And we're going to do a really high fade. We're going to go real tight. And then we're going to go from the temple down. We're going to use a beard trimmer or a foil shaver and take it right down to straight razor length. So he's going to be bald on the sides, faded into the top in a real small area with a spiky look on top. So you're going to see a lot of different techniques, including a clipper over comb, fading, and also be introduced to the foil shaver or beard trimmer. Okay, we're going to cut the top with our detachable blade clipper using a clipper over comb technique. We're using a white comb on dark colored hair so that hair stands out. There's a big contrast between the color of the hair and the comb, and we can see what we're doing. I'm just tapering the bangs a little bit. And I'm standing where I am because the hair naturally grows towards me, so I want to cut into it or against the grain. And I'm going to do the same thing after we cut the top when I go through and we texturize the top to take the weight out of it. So this is going to be more of a contoured shaped haircut versus a square shaped haircut. We don't need the weight in the corners because he's not going to part it. If anything, we're going to spike it up and comb it towards the center. And then as we get towards the back, we want to cut the crown right down and cut it right in because that's going to be the first part that's going to stand up. So we want to keep that comb moving at a good pace and the clipper going back and forth so we don't miss any sections. If you move the comb too fast, you're going to miss hair and create lines of demarcation. Now I'm going to turn the client slightly towards me. And I'm angling the comb down towards the back, again, so we can get the hair shorter towards the back. Alright, that completes the clipper portion of the top, and now we're going to come back with a texturizing shear and take some of the thickness out. Now we're using our texturizing shears. I'm using a 23 tooth texturizing shear because I don't want to take a lot of the weight out of it, just enough so that the hair will spike up. I've switched to a smaller comb, a smaller scissor comb, but it's also white as with the clipper comb, so I can see the contrast between the hair and the comb. So it's much easier to see what I want to cut. And I'm just cutting towards the cutting along the contour or with the round of the head, with the shape of the head. And again, by taking the weight out of the hair when we dry it at the end, and then we use a strong styling paste, it's going to make the hair, allow the hair to spike up much easier. Okay, that completes the texturizing portion of the haircut. Now we're going to move on to the fade on the sides. We're starting out with our detachable blade clipper with one of our longer blades, a 3/8 of an inch, and we're going to slightly round the corner because we're going to take this up real high and tight. Now as I get towards the back, what I want to do is I'm going to cut the crown right down, or the pivot, and then as we get down to our 1.5 blade, which is 2 blades shorter than this, we're going to blend that into the front. And that way, even though it's a short haircut, it still fits in with today's popular haircuts, where we're going from longer fronts to shorter backs and shorter sides. Okay, and as always, we're going to clean our blade off before we move down to the next blade size. So now we're moving down to the 2, which is 1/4 inch. And we're going to take that up nice and high, because I want to leave myself room on the sides for the fade. We're going to go down to a beard trimmer around the from the temples down. So we have to take all these blades up really high. And then if you're having trouble right there, it's really thick, we stretch the skin and it pops the hair out and we can get it. And then I just keep working, I just spin the chair and just keep working my way back and forth from one side to the other. Okay, we're done with that blade. We're going to brush it off. All of the blades have been previously disinfected and lubricated before he started the haircut, so I want to wipe off any of the excess oil and disinfect it. So now I'm down to the 1.5 blade, which cuts the hair to 1/8 inch. And it's also a really good blending blade for the clipper over comb technique. So I can blend that right into the top. Start working on those blending areas. So I want to take an imaginary line straight up in the air, nice and slow, and let the clipper work. And not leave any lines that I have to blend out. And then as I work my way around, we're going to cut the crown down even more and blend that in. Just by the slight angle of the comb. And then continue on with our fade. Now, as you can see from the side view, I'm doing what's called floating the blade, and that's blending it into the previous lengths. So the teeth come away from the head. I push the heel of the blade into the head and I take an imaginary line straight up in the air. And that's what fades the different lengths into each other. And then we're going to further blend that in while we have our blending blade on there. Okay, now we're going to brush that off, just like all our other ones. We're going to go down to our 1/16 of an inch blade, which is our 1A. And after that, we're going to move to our adjustable blade clipper. We'll switch clippers. So we still want to keep taking it up high, because we've got to leave ourselves room. This is going to be a real close fade, a real close high and tight. And he has very thick hair, so you got to go slow with the clipper and let it work. Now keep in mind, dark color hair on light skin is the hardest to fade, because you can really see the contrast between the hair and the skin. So have to make sure to go very slow with the clipper, let it cut, and if there's any indentations, stretch that skin, make sure you get all that hair cut, otherwise you're going to see shadowing. We're going to take that straight through to the front. Okay, now we've worked through our larger metal blades, and we're going to switch clippers now and move on to an adjustable blade clipper. Now we're switching to our adjustable lever clipper. It's longest in the open position, it's shortest in the all the way closed position. So when we open it up all the way, it's the next blade size down from the one we left off with on our detachable blade clipper. So we want to start off with that, and we want to take it up pretty high and fade it right into where we just left off. So I'm going to do about 1/3 of the head at a time. Then I'm going to close it down halfway. Then we're going to close it down all the way. And if we see any shadowing at all, we can always open it back up a little bit and stretch the skin. So we'll open it up just a little bit. But we want to keep it right along the temple area. We don't want to take it up any higher, otherwise we'll lose the look of the fade. If it's all up in too small of an area, it's going to look like a line from a distance. So when the clipper's all the way closed, we want to clean off all the hair at the bottom. We're going to come back with the trimmer and cut it even closer, but we want to get all that hair off so the trimmer will go through it. Okay, now we're going to keep spinning the chair and continuing on. Open the clipper back up. Work around the back section. Now our fading motion, my wrist isn't moving. The fading motion is coming from the elbow, not the wrist, until we get to our smaller blades. Now we're going to close it halfway. And I'm going to use a little bit of a scooping motion. Now I'm going to close it down all the way, and we're going to come all the way up. Okay, then we'll continue on, open it back up. Then we're going to close it down halfway. Use a small scooping motion to blend it into the longer blade size. Then we're going to close it down all the way and start from the bottom and clean it up. This particular clipper, you can actually get 5 different blade sizes out of it, so as we're working our way around, if there's some thicker spots, you may have to go back over it with some of the different sizes. But remember, I'm going to be using the beard trimmer on the side, and we want it bald pretty high up, so we have to bring these shorter blades up pretty high. Close it halfway. Okay, now we're going to close it down all the way and come from the bottom. Okay, keep spinning the chair. Open the blade back up. So in this way, it's much more efficient than making a line, closing this clipper down and making a line all the way around and then trying to blend it out. It makes it much harder. And by doing a little bit at a time when you're working around the head and spinning the chair, you're moving your hands slower, but you're going to be done faster. Now we're going to get the last section in the front here. Okay, then we're going to close it all the way down and clean up all the hair at the bottom so the trimmer will go through it. Okay, and now the hair is ready for the trimmer. So we finished off with our adjustable clipper in the 3-0 position, or 3-aught position, which is all the way closed. So now we're going to go down to our trimmer. The only issue is our trimmer is 2 blades shorter. So to make it a little bit longer and avoid leaving a line here, is the first thing I'm going to do is take the clipper blade and tilt it up to make it a little bit longer. And then I'm going to lay it flat, and then we're going to cut it flat. So we're going to do 2 steps and get 2 lengths out of our trimmer. I'll show you what I mean. Again, leaving some distance between each of the blades. You don't want to go up as high as you did with the last clipper. So we're tilting it up and we're using a scooping motion. Then I'm going to lay the blade flat on his skin, and that's going to cut it shorter. And at the very end, use a little bit of a scooping motion. So that way we get 2 sizes out of it. Okay, so now we're going to tilt it back up again. Using a scooping motion, then we're going to lay it flat and cut it shorter. Before we go over it with the beard trimmer, it has to be cut as close as possible, otherwise the beard trimmer won't cut the hair. And most guys you'll find have scars on the back of their head somewhere. You never know until you get the haircut this short, so there's nothing you could do about the scars. You just fade the hair and the scars. You just leave them alone where they are. So now I have the blade laid flat on the skin. So first step is tilt it up. Next step is to lay it flat. And that completes the trimmer portion, and we're going to come back with our foil shaver. So this is what your foil shaver is going to look like. It's a detachable head that fits on a trimmer. And we're going to start on the sides here just below where we left off with our T-outliner. We're going to shave down first and then shave up. But just like with every other blade, I'm going to start a little lower where we left off when I shave down. And then when I shave up, I'm going to leave off a little bit lower. So we still have that fading effect. So by shaving down, we're shaving with the grain. By shaving up, we're shaving against the grain. So you have to go slow, let the clipper work. And you don't need to press hard. Just stretching the skin and going slow with the clipper and allowing it to work will do the trick. Doesn't require a lot of pressure. And then you want to go in a few different directions because the hair grows in different directions. Okay, and that completes with the foil shaver, and then we'll move on to cleaning up the neck hairs. Now we're going to finish up cleaning up his neck. We're going to shave right down to the t-shirt line. We're going to do it first with the trimmer, and then next we'll do it with the foil shaver. Okay, now we're ready for the style. We're going to start out with a really thick, firm hold, dry paste. Because his hair grows straight forward, we want to stand it up a little bit and push it to the center into a faux hawk. So we're going to rub it good in our hands. And we're going to use this first, and then over the top, we're going to layer it over the top with a firm hold gel to shine it up. But before we do that, you want to make sure that you wipe off the forehead before we move on to the next product. Okay, so we have that. Wipe the excess product off of his forehead, and then we're going to take a good amount of firm hold gel, and what that's going to do is it's going to shine it up and give it some extra hold. And then it's after this step, we can use a brush and brush it all towards the center and up in the front. And then we'll check with the client, and if it's standing a little bit high in the front, which I think it may be, we can trim it down a little bit in the front. So we're going to consult the client and then decide what we're going to do with the very front of the haircut. We've just finished consulting with the client, and he decided he'd like to push the hair back a little bit more, and once we did that, we decided that together that the length is perfect for the desired style. So we're going to stop there, and we're going to give you a 360 view to show you the complete haircut.